Recording in progress.
Yeah, okay, pretend.
All right, everybody good? We're gonna have a call to order at 1 o'clock, also known as 1300. Greenwich plus something. Oh, yeah, 8. Oh, yeah, Greenwich plus 8. Look at that. Holy shnikey. That's awesome. All right, we're gonna get into the regular agenda. We can forego the Pledge of Allegiance. I think we're good on that. Any teleconference 2449?
No.
Okay. Love these after lunch, aren't they great? Any public comment?
None.
Okay,
Minutes?
yep.
No, because we did it in the morning. It's next page.
I know. Hold on, I lost my place. Okay, we have, we're gonna just do a head nod for the executive update. If
No,
that's,
approval of them. Oh, okay, never mind. That's our F.
I'm sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
I need a motion for approval of minutes for the meeting from August 13th.
So moved.
Second.
All right, call the roll, please.
Ms. Ginsburg? Ms. Mead?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Aye.
Ms. Martin? Mr. Rue? Mr. Gatto? Ms. Martinez? Mr. Jones?
Aye.
And Ms. Langton?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. The executive update, item 3, Chief Investment Officer Report, Member Spotlight, and Chief Executive Officer Report. Other than the member spotlight, is everybody good with moving on unless there's anything significant in those reports?
Yeah, all 3 is good because we don't have it up. We won't be able to do it. We did at the BOR.
Okay, understand. Excellent. Then moving on to consent items, item number 4, 4A and 4B. We've got a review of the fiduciary council policy and a request for proposal for fiduciary council services. I could put those in a joint motion to approve.
So moved.
We need a second for that motion?
Excellent.
Okay,
Please call
thank
the
you.
roll.
Ms. Ginsburg? Ms. Mead?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Right?
Ms. Martinez, Ms. Martin, Mr. Gatto, Mr. Rue, Mr. Jones?
Aye.
And Ms. Langton?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
All right, excellent. Thank you for that. Moving on to item 5, non-consent items. We have a proposed boardroom floor plan layout that was presented at the BOR, and it's going to require a motion and a vote. If we can go ahead and have the presentation. Oh, there you are. Sorry, I was looking for you.
Sorry. All right, good after, well, let me set this up first. I'm gonna go ahead and move into the next slide. So, all right. So good afternoon, Chair Green and trustees of the board. I am James Beasley with Administrative Services. And today accompanying me is Laura Guglielmo, who's going to be helping with the questions and the presentation. Following our the brief overview, we will be available, or excuse me, I'm gonna go into the presentation. So in May, we introduced a proposal to relocate the board operations to the first floor and inform the trustees that we'll be reaching back to them with a survey to get their feedback on the design. Based on the feedback that we received from the trustees, one of the ones that were most popular was the actual size of the dais. The trustees were wanting a more visual dais, more spread out so that they can have more space for them to work and, personal property and so forth. And so based on those recommendations, the architect designed a U-shaped dais that was more spread out. So similar to what we have here, but the legs were outwards facing towards the audience, as you see in the display on the screen. This layout provides more of a, provides each trustee with more workspace, room for personal items, and improved sight lines across the room, as you can see in the slide. So also in the slide, you can see the order. In order to make this practical, the architect actually had to make some minor adjustments to the floor plan. They reduced the size of the board assistant's office, the board lounge, and the audio video support room. And they also relocated one of the restrooms outside of the lounge to the public area, as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen. In addition to the dais enhancements, within the main boardroom, there are two building structural support columns that will partially obstruct the view for some of the audience. However, this new expanded layout will help reduce the impact by allowing us to add additional seating throughout the room, making it where we can seat over 100 people. So it allows it to spread out even further so that we're not just focused in just one vicinity and there's more people behind those columns. There was one, wait, you know what? Can you go to the next slide? To further enhance this experience, we plan to install a wraparound screen and additional monitors throughout the room so that everyone can clearly see the person speaking. As you can see here in the 3D rendering, on the left-hand side is the picture with the wraparound screen on the columns, and the one on the right-hand side is it just gives you a visual of what the layout would look like without having the columns there. So we can't make it where the columns are not going to be there. They're going to be there. Okay. Additionally, there was one suggestion to hold closed session meetings in the board lounge. Due to the size of the board lounge, moving the closed session meetings from the boardroom to the lounge would negatively affect the overall space. This would require increasing the size of the lounge beyond the original plan, and as a result will have an impact on the size of the dais and the audience seating. With these updates reflecting trustees' input and optimized design solution, we respectfully request that from your board to approve approve to begin this construction of this project. So this concludes our presentation. Laura and I are more than happy to assist with any questions that you may have.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ms. Mee.
I have a couple minor questions. Do you mind to go to floor plan?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Quick question. How many audience can we accommodate in this new ballroom?
Over 100 people,
Oh, that's nice.
approximately. Yeah.
That's so much bigger, yeah. I noticed on the top left corner, this executive assistant, chair there. I have a minor concern. I feel like I want to confirm that our dear Linda is gonna sit with us. during the board meeting.
It's a room for her to prepare before the
Okay.
meetings and after the meetings, so she will be at the.
Sitting
dais
with us
everyone.
during the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to confirm that. That's all, yeah.
Anybody else? Just real quick to add, James, thank you again for the presentation. For anybody that wasn't aware, some of the other items with the post, they are load bearing, they can't be removed. The wraparound screen idea, we, talked about, having maybe one screen. That was one of my recommendations, just on one side, arranging seating, or also even having, an ADA compliant, like, station someone could pull up to, or, some desk space, for staff that's trying to catch up, but still obligated to come to the staff meeting. So, and the BOR approved it. If you can entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Ginsburg,
Yes.
Ms. Mee,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
All right.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
and Ms. Langton. Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much for the proposal. Looking forward to what we do with those posts. Moving on to reports, Esmeralda's team there. Gonna try and for the sake of time, just one without objection, run A and B together concurrently. Both dealing with the same information, roughly, performance book of the fund and OPEB. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and Trustees. Yesterday's discussion and this morning's macro session touched on the importance of risk diversification, downside protection, and analytics. Today, the portfolio analytics team will review fund highlights covering 3 key areas: performance, risk, and compliance. This item contains LACERA's quarterly board book packet, including a staff presentation deck labeled Attachment 1. Attachment 2 is a full board book packet, which spans over 250 pages, covering performance, risk, compliance reporting at the portfolio and functional category level, as well as manager pages, a manager scorecard, and glossary. Let me begin with slide 3 with a review of the total fund asset allocation. We closed the fiscal year with a total market value of $85.2 billion. We reached a high watermark for the fiscal year, an increase of $3.7 billion from the prior quarter and $6.3 billion year over year. The current positioning shows modest underweights in credit and risk, real assets, and inflation hedges, mainly driven by ongoing rebalancing activity within those segments. We'll now cover the return attribution analysis for both the quarter and fiscal year periods. As a refresher, a return attribution helps us understand why our portfolio performed the way it did. Return attribution is built on 2 key components. 1, allocation effect, which is the impact of deciding where to invest across asset classes, and 2, selection effect, the impact of choosing which managers to include within those classes. If you turn your attention to the bottom tables, starting with the gray outlined box to your left, for the quarter, the total fund outperformed its policy benchmark by 80 basis points. This excess return was largely attributed to strong selection effects within growth and credit, both of which significantly outpaced the respective benchmarks. Moving to the table to the right, for the fiscal year, the total fund's performance closely matched the policy benchmark. Different from the quarter, growth and credit largely offset one another, resulting in a neutral impact on relative returns. I'll now move into discussing the risk characteristics for the total fund. One risk measurement to highlight on this slide is value at risk, a calculation that tells you up to how much the portfolio can lose within a given year. The 14.3% value at risk for the total fund is slightly lower than the 15.3% policy benchmark value at risk, which reflects how diversified the total fund is. The fund's exposures captured in the diagram to the right shows LACERA's portfolio across active and passive, private and public, US and non-US markets. Similar to the previous slide, the bottom half of this slide shows risk attribution to understand where the risk in the total fund comes from. Overall, LACERA is taking less risk than the benchmark. The active risk for the total fund is in line with expectations at 1.03%, most of it coming from the selection effect at 1%. Finally, the bar chart on the bottom right shows the importance of diversification and downside protection across the 4 functional categories, which shows that the board-approved strategic asset allocation is working as designed. With that, let me now hand it over to Jesse to cover compliance.
Thank you, Catherine. Good afternoon, Chair Green and trustees. For context, the compliance monitor's purpose is to ensure that asset category and investment manager activity aligns with the set guidelines, and it's also in place to provide transparency of investment and operational activities. This slide shows a snapshot of total fund compliance. Focusing on the pie and bar charts, we highlight strategic asset allocation compared to board-approved weights as of quarter end. Notably, all categories are within their acceptable variance. For further details, we move to the middle the page where we highlight the number of advisories and exceptions by functional asset class categories, which is then further broken down by sub-asset categories. For your reference, advisories are for informational purposes only. They serve as a monitoring measure and do not indicate compliance exceptions. Exceptions refer to instances where investment activity may temporarily fall outside of predefined guidelines. Next slide, please. This slide highlights special projects and programs that arise from our investment activity. At the top, we have proxy voting data reflecting our corporate governance activities on behalf of the fund. Below that, you'll find information on key programs with the securities lending program on the left, reclaims programs in the middle, and further special projects on the right. Beyond overseeing our core investment activity, we ensure that those supplemental programs generate additional value and further enhance the total fund. This concludes the total fund presentation. Barring any questions, if the chair approves, we can move to item 6B to cover highlights for the OPEB Master Trust.
If we can pull up the presentation for OPEB, please. Following the format used for the pension, we will begin by presenting OPEB's asset allocation on slide 3. The OPEB Trust closed the fiscal year with a total market value of $5 billion. Similar to the pension, OPEB reached a notable high watermark for the fiscal year, an increase of $400 million from the prior quarter and $1 billion year over year. Fiscal year allocations were in line with policy targets, with no asset category exhibiting a material deviation. We'll now examine the return attribution analysis for both the quarter and fiscal year periods. For the quarter, which is shown in the table on the bottom left, OPEB outperformed its policy benchmark by 60 basis points. This relative gain was primarily driven by strong selection effects in growth and credit. The table to the right shows that over the fiscal year, OPEB delivered even stronger results, exceeding its policy benchmark by 90 basis points, driven by the selection effect in growth and real assets. Notably, for real assets, the performance driver was in the public REITs allocation. Yes, Chair Green.
I know they're separate funds, and I know there's a little bit different strategy other than the core fundamental, but the fiscal year to date, the balancing between growth and credit on our pension fund versus the OPEB, the significance between the two, is that strictly based off the allocation of the assets and why it occurred? Because there was that zero net gain between what was on the primary fund versus credit versus growth, right? They balanced each other out, kind of the loss and gain. But there's very little loss of the credit, but the growth is so significantly larger.
Yes, Chair Green, to directly answer that question, the asset allocation is different, wherein for the total fund, we have a 29% allocation to global equity. And for the OPEB trust, that's 40%. Global equity had quite a fiscal year, returning roughly 15%. And so that is the main driver of performance differentiation from an asset allocation perspective between the two plans.
Thank you. I want to go back to the other fund, our pension fund, and have a question there. I didn't want to interrupt the flow, and thank you for presentation. First of all, I want to say congratulations to the whole team. We have the other great year, and thank you for all the hard work. I'm thinking in a good market environment, it's easy to perform like 1 year, right? But we consistently perform year after year, year after year. And this year we have 6.1 billion increase in total fund. Excellent job. So I'm thinking like that says a lot about our team, you know, and how we have our assets allocation, our portfolio structure, our positioning, and set us to success continually, consistently. So that's a great deal. Congrats to everyone. Also, it's a congratulation to LACERA members because they're the one that benefit from all this great work. So my question is actually on the slide from Makita, the quarterly report. I don't know if you have the slide. Makita's report, page 14. I like the two reports in different format that actually give me different tastes of the same performance like report. So let's go to page 14 of Makita's report.
We can pull up
Oh,
the,
no, we don't have it. Okay.
in SharePoint, the Makita report.
No problem, I can just read it and out loud. So I will start it from page 14. What Makita reports does is that I think they break it down into managers and then each manager's performance under each assets class. So on page 14, what I see is that under natural resource, the assets class, and there's a manager. I'm not going to read the name of manager. There's a performance. Looks like they with us for a year, and they have lost like 64.1%. So I'm thinking, my question is that for such a manager that underperform, maybe it's different from assets class to assets class. What's the timeline, appropriate timeline for us to assess a manager? No.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. In terms of our reporting, the slight difference, we also show manager return. When there is a return that negative and we understand the driver of it, we put in what is called NM, which is not meaningful. And that is the case here for the mere point that Appian is a newer fund. And in terms of what they've drawn down is mostly fees, Ms. Me. So that's why that it's showing a very negative return.
It's the J
Because it's
curve
just,
back.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly right.
And in this assets class, we shouldn't look at short term like 1 in 1 year, basically.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. I'm gonna go to different assets class, which is on page. Let me see.
Just be where you're looking at, that's good education. So that, basically the fees are front loading on that manager.
Yes.
Kind of like interest rates up front, right? And so that's what's giving that significant.
Exactly, and they just haven't drawn capital to invest. So at this point, it's mostly fee. That's
But it has.
in that time-weighted return.
Awesome, but it has to be measured. So yeah, that's great. That's really good info.
Esme's right. It's short-term fluctuations
Mhm.
and the focus should be on the long term.
And also for certain assets class, the cycle of the investment is much longer than the global equity is more liquid, right? Anytime. So the other one got my attention is on the page 9. I think that's under new alpha, assuming that's a global equity. One of the manager there, I see also only with us 1 year, but this is global equity, so different from other assets class. I see negative 13.8% in 1 year. How do we, determine for global equity, how long a timeline we should assess the performance of manager? I don't want to say out the name of the manager.
Right. This is an emerging manager, and it looks as if, yeah, it does have 1 year of experience. Elder Pat.
Good afternoon. So New Alpha is one of our emerging manager programs. And so they invest in underlying strategies. And just at this point, a year is pretty early for this strategy. We've had to change out one manager in there as well. So I think it probably takes a good 3 years for us to be able to judge performance because they're investing in other managers and we're building a portfolio under the New Alpha umbrella.
Thank you. That's all question I have for the report. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
That's good questions. Yeah, thank you.
I can continue on with risk, if you can please pull it up. to slide number 6. So moving to risk, we have a value at risk number of 13.8% for the portfolio versus 13.7% for the benchmark, which is flat across both portfolios. Looking at the diagram to the upper right-hand corner, it's worth noting that we're continuing to work towards the strategic asset allocation to ramp up the allocation to private markets. On the bottom left-hand panel, we see OPEB's forecast volatility of 9%, which sits on top of the benchmark. OPEB has mainly private investments, showing a lower active risk than the pension as expected, with a 0.77% deviation from the benchmark. And last, the bar chart on the bottom right shows the importance of diversification across functional and sub-asset categories within the OPEB trust. With that, I'll now hand it over to Jesse to cover compliance.
Thank you, Catherine. This slide is very similar to what we covered earlier in our review of the pension fund. It provides a snapshot of compliance for the OPEB trust as of quarter end. As we can see at the top of this page, the OPEB portfolio applications are all in compliance within their respective asset class policy bands. Moving to the middle of the page, we show all relevant advisories and exceptions that also fall within the board approved range. Next slide, please. Beginning at the top of the page, we have proxy voting data for the OPEB trust, as well as programs that impact total fund effectiveness. Now moving to the bottom of the page, we highlight the special programs and investment operations within the OPEB trust. We outline the OPEB private market program build out on the left, the reclaims program in the middle, and other special projects. With that, we're happy to stand for questions.
Does anybody have any questions from the board? Any additional comments from staff? Excellent, you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And the fiscal year numbers are, that's always nice, right, Mr. Grable? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, without objection, items 6C, Charlie through G Golf, would like to receive, file, and everybody should have that in their packet to read. We can move on. Any items for staff review? Item 7? None? Seeing and hearing none. Items for future agendas? None. So good of the order. We had good of the order. We have additional staff at the table here. Where would you like to? Anyway, we can start here, do the same thing. We'll go around the horseshoe. Does anybody have anything for good of the order? Yeah, there we go. No, all the way around. Second chance. Good chance. All right. Well, the only thing about going over I missed the chart of the month. I love that discussion. I'll call you. So nothing further. Just again, thanks to staff and everybody in the back. I didn't address you earlier, but thanks for all being here. It's another successful one. We're going to get into executive session, and we'll move on from there. So just thanks again.
Items are being pulled.
Is there any items being pulled? Does anybody want to discuss anything in executive session? Item 12 or 10, correct?
I do have one item I'd like to pull, just a minor question on
Okay.
the first one, the global equity. Yes, it's not closed section yet. Yeah, the first one. Thank you.
Okay, if I could ask everybody.
Everyone.
It's okay. There's no, Miss Me, there's no apology necessary. This is what we're here to do, and it is perfectly appropriate. If we can clear the room, please, we can get into executive session 10.
Have fun with that.
Thanks,
after
James.
party.